I'm Eric Anderson. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, we now have the official list of candidates in the San Diego mayor's race. And a plan to test drones in Southern California skies gets some major backing.
I'm Peggy Pico. Police say cyberbullies are to blame for a young girl's suicide in Florida, what local schools are doing about online bullies, and how constitutional rights may impact the issue. But first, a new KPBS app answers your questions about Obamacare and helps guide you through the process, even if you're already insured.
And we'll show you how some homes in City Heights got a fresh look. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. Dwayne Brown is off tonight. I'm Eric Anderson. San Diego voters will have 11 candidates to choose from when they go to pick a new mayor in November. The city clerk has just released the official verified list, and here it is in alphabetical order. Mike Aguirre, the former San Diego city attorney, Councilman David Alvarez, Attorney Hud Collins, Bruce Coons, the executive director of Save Our Heritage organization, businessman and realtor Harry Dirks, Councilman Kevin Faulkner, former state assemblyman Nathan Fletcher, San Diego State political science student Michael Kemmer, businessman Sina Mogadam, and Tobiah Pettis, along with retired contractor Lincoln Pickard. The first poll of the race is also out, and Nathan Fletcher leads the pack so far. He got support from 30% of those surveyed by the UT San Diego and our media partner, 10 News. Kevin Faulkner came in at 22%, and David Alvarez had 17%. Mike Aguirre was supported by 9% of those polled. Bruce Coons got 2%. The rest of the people surveyed say they were undecided or they supported another candidate. You can find our continuing coverage of the special election, including the latest on endorsements and campaign contributions, all online at kpbs.org/election. California is getting a reprieve on a year-end deadline to reduce prison overcrowding. A panel of federal judges has agreed to an extension of almost a month, and that gives the state more time to find a permanent solution to the problem. San Diego County supervisors are throwing their support behind a plan to test drones over Southern California. The proposal is to create a huge testing zone, mostly outside of populated areas. Backers say that local airports won't be affected, and they say it will be a boost to the local economy. The Federal Aviation Administration has to approve the plan. A decision is expected sometime in December. Tomorrow, the supervisors will consider a runway expansion at McClellan-Palomar Airport in Carlsbad. It could give North County businesses direct flights to places that are pretty far away. KPBS North County Bureau Chief Allison St. John is in the newsroom with more. Allison, Palomar Airport is in a residential area. How do the locals feel about plans to lengthen that runway?
Well, we'll see what kind of opposition surfaces when the supervisors meet tomorrow. But obviously noise is a big issue, and there's been some studies about it. Supervisor Bill Horn and Carlsbad Mayor Matt Hall are in favor of the expansion. They say if the runway were lengthened 900 feet to the east, it would change the noise envelopes, so jets taking off would be more over commercial rather than residential areas. And they say the problem of planes overshooting the runway, which has happened a couple of times in recent years, would be mitigated. There's one problem about the extension. It would be on a landfill that is an old landfill, so it will need to be built on piers. That will involve a lot of construction that could create a lot of noise and dust. Also, the whole project is expensive, about $95 million.
Now, but the benefit would be that planes could then take off and fly directly nonstop to places like China, right?
That's right. It would generate revenue and jobs. Mayor Hall says it's not a matter of bigger planes. It's a matter of planes being able to take off with a bigger fuel load. Even with the expansion, they'd not be able to fly nonstop as far as Europe, though they could reach the East Coast. And this map shows that they could fly as far as China, which, of course, would be a big benefit for those doing business with the Pacific Rim.
North County Bureau Chief Allison St. John. Allison, thanks. A Northern California judge is now considering a 13-year-old lawsuit over lead paint. The city of San Diego, one of 10 governments suing paint companies to get them to remove lead paint from older homes. Now, doing that could cost manufacturers $1.6 billion. The lawsuit says the company sold lead paint even though they knew it was a health hazard. The industry says it never deliberately sold harmful products. A ruling could come within 90 days. There's been a guilty plea in an insider trading case involving a former Qualcomm executive. It comes from a former stockbroker who admitted to laundering money in the scheme. The broker, Gary Yin, was indicted yesterday along with former Qualcomm executive Jing Wang, who pleaded not guilty. Wang's older brother was also indicted in the case but is believed to be in China. It's been a waiting game for thousands of jobless Californians waiting to get their unemployment benefits. The state's been working on a new payment system, and that's created a backlog in getting claims processed. State employees worked through last weekend and plan to work through this coming weekend, too, to try to get themselves caught up. 1 week from today, Americans can begin enrolling in medical insurance plans under the Affordable Care Act. But there is still some confusion about the process. KPBS has developed an app to help out. Peggy Pico has details.
On October 1st, Californians will be able to shop for health insurance under Obamacare's exchanges. California's version is called Covered California. KPBS's ongoing series called Second Opinion and our new app answers questions and helps with that process. Creator of the app and series, KPBS Speak City Heights reporter Megan Burks and Jeanette Shea with Family Health Centers San Diego join me with the details on moving forward in the Affordable Care Act. This has been a long time coming, but that being said, enrollment starts, Megan, right, on October 1st. How long is that period for, and who's eligible?
So enrollment goes from next Tuesday, which I can't believe. So Tuesday through March 31st, 2014. And whatever policy that people begin buying starting on Tuesday won't go into effect until January 1st, 2014. But you can start shopping. And people, pretty much every Californian can get on the website and check out the policies. It's open to everybody, just not everybody is going to qualify for one of the subsidies that they're offering on Covered California plans.
We'll come back to the subsidies, but I do want to say what kind of plans are out there. Are these new plans, old plans, or will we hear familiar names?
You will hear familiar names. It's all of the same kind of big insurance providers that we all of us already kind of deal with. So Kaiser, HealthNet, Sharp. There are 6 of them offered in San Diego. And so the Covered California Exchange just kind of negotiates rates with these providers and then again offers those subsidies on them for people who qualify.
And Jeanette, let's talk about those subsidies. So Family Health Centers, you've been reaching out to get the uninsured enrolled. Who would be eligible for the subsidized insurance plans?
Absolutely. So it's people that are in the lower income, up to 400% of the federal poverty level. Some people are going to be eligible for the free Medi-Cal plan. So if they're up to 133% of poverty, they're going to be eligible for a free plan. Others will have to pay a little bit, but part of their premium will be subsidized.
How are the health centers reaching out to get the uninsured enrolled?
So we have a team of outreach workers that are on the street, that are talking to folks, that are giving them information, that are connecting them back with our, we have a call center specifically set up to answer questions, and certified application assisters that can meet one-on-one with folks to help look at their specific family situation, look at what kind of coverage they need, and then help them pick the plan that's best for them.
And can they start that right now? Can they call the call center right now, or do they need to wait till October 1st?
They can call now, they can get information now, they can do their research now, but you can't actually apply and turn in your application until October 1st.
So they can you can make your decisions no matter who you are and ready to pounce, sort of like buying an airline ticket or something. So Megan, now tell us about this KPBS Second Opinion. You've been soliciting questions from the community, right, since summer.
Yeah.
Tell us about this app and how it helps answer those questions and walk us through the process for people.
Yeah, so a lot of the questions that I was getting were just a very kind of generic, what do I do? How does this impact me? And then we would kind of drill down and look at those specifics. So this app is designed to kind of help you get the basics of Obamacare. What are you responsible for? What are your options as an employer, as a family, head of a household, and as an individual?
And it looks like it was just sort of, we were just watching it, it's sort of this interactive answer one question, it sends you to the next page, the next question.
Yeah, it's an easy click-through app. Just click through it, answer the questions that apply to you, and we'll get you to kind of what you need to know, the basics.
Okay, and Jeanette, do you expect a big rush of people just waiting till almost like tax day to sign up next week? Is that going to be the bulk of it?
Sure. Well, I think that there's certainly going to be a number of people that want to sign up on the first day, but this is really a 6-month marathon, I would say, or maybe we call it a 6-month sprint, but it doesn't all have to be done on day one. And I think the thing we want to make sure people understand is even if you sign up in October, your health insurance starts in January, so you have a little bit of a wait. So we have the next 3 months, October, November, and December, where we can meet with people one-on-one. We can really take the time to make sure that they pick the plan that's best for them, they can get enrolled, and then they'll be ready to go for the time the health insurance starts.
What issues have you been hearing? What questions have been people asking you about this? Because there still seems to be some confusion, even though we've been hearing, quote, Obamacare for quite a while.
Sure. I think the number one question is how much does it cost? I mean, that's the people's primary concern is are they going to be able to afford it? But what we found is people know, they've heard the word Obamacare, they've heard some big sound bites, but they don't really understand what it means for their family. And so that's really what we're trying to work with people one-on-one to determine, is this something their family can get coverage for? Will it be helpful? Can they afford it? And then can we help with the paperwork so it's not a burden to apply?
All right, both of you are on the same track on that, either on our website or else. So Jeanette Shea and Megan Burks, thanks so much. I want to let people know that they can use the Second Opinion app and get links for this information or download the app on our website for free. That's kpbs.org/secondopinion.
Of course, fall just started here in San Diego County, but firefighters want people to start getting ready for winter. Their checklist includes testing your heater to make sure that it works right and checking the smoke and carbon monoxide detectors in your home. They may need new batteries or they may need to be replaced. Smoke detectors are supposed to last up to 10 years. Carbon monoxide detectors last about 7 years at most. Fire Marshal Doug Perry says newer models do have better batteries and other features too.
And they're finding out that there's a difference between our hearing ranges for the elderly and for the young. And now they're even making some smoke detectors that have a different decibel that they send off, so that if you are elderly, it's a lower volume because for some reason we pick that up, the higher volumes we don't.
Perry says nationwide 450 people die every year of carbon monoxide poisoning. The First Alert Company has donated 100 detectors to the fire department. State law requires the devices in homes. Some low-income property owners in City Heights got some much-needed home upgrades today. KPBS reporter Susan Murphy tells us dozens of community leaders came out to celebrate the neighborhood rehabilitation project.
Oh, Lord, thank you.
Francisca Ortega is one of 25 City Heights homeowners who just received a home rehabilitation.
Otros pintaron. Otros vinieron a limpiar.
The 12-year City Heights resident smiled ear to ear as she showed off her new kitchen counters, windows, electrical work, and paint job to dozens of city leaders and community groups who came to her home to celebrate the completion. The Neighborhood Rehabilitation Project was organized by the City Heights Community Development Corporation and funded by the City of San Diego and federal grants. Neighborhood Enhancement Manager Mary Otero says it's an ongoing effort to stabilize low-income communities by uplifting property values and creating neighborhood pride.
A lot of these property owners, they can't afford to fix their roofs, they can't afford to fix their windows, they can't afford to paint their homes.
Behind the construction scenes, there was another effort going on.
It makes me feel better about myself, that I can do something that will change the community, in my community.
23-year-old City Heights resident Martin Lopez worked on the home with Urban Corps. It's a charter school program that teaches at-risk youth construction job skills while they work toward a high school diploma.
I'm going to graduate in December, so I'm getting construction, like this type of work.
Yusra Ikob, also with Urban Corps, moved to San Diego from Iraq 3 years ago.
We do the kitchen, and we painted the house, and we do the water heater.
Ikob says she's excited about the skills she's learning.
I feel great. We do something like wonderful.
Something wonderful that Francisca Ortega says she'll always be thankful for.
It's nice. Thank you.
Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
Bob Filner's resignation as San Diego's mayor after only 9 months in office revealed a mix of progress and the status quo when it comes to sexual harassment. The scandal showed that power still spawns abuse. Women still choose silence, but when they do speak up, change can be quick. KPBS investigative reporter Amitha Sharma spoke with 4 women on what the allegations against Filner exposed about sexual harassment in 2013. She begins with former San Diego City Councilwoman Donna Fry, the first person to publicly disclose the accusations.
What has not changed is the fact that men will still behave badly, that women will still have similar reactions where they're afraid to talk about it, where they feel embarrassed, they feel ashamed, they feel that no one will believe them.
Fry says she's spoken to dozens of women over the last several months about their experiences with sexual harassment allegedly involving Filner. Most of the women were shocked and unsure of what to do after they were approached. Others reacted quickly.
There were many stories where women would come to me and did exactly everything they should have done. After it happened, they reported it, they went to people, they said, we need help, here's what's happened, and we're told, just ignore it, just forget about it. Why didn't they just go up and say, you know what, that's bad behavior, we're going to go talk to him and tell him it's not acceptable.
Employment mediator Abby Silverman-Weiss believes Filner's conduct went unchecked also because he dealt with women from different workplaces and could isolate them.
And that is the conduct of a serial sexual harasser.
There were more than 7,500 cases of sexual harassment in the U.S. in 2012, according to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Silverman-Weiss says the problem is likely more pervasive because many instances go unreported. Fear of job loss, promotion denials, and a reluctance to be perceived as victims remain strong deterrents for younger women to bring forward sexual harassment complaints. Silverman-Weiss says what's notable about the Filner case is most of the women who spoke up did so from a position of strength.
Strong women, particularly accomplished women, and you look at the four women who you had on your program, were really accomplished women who could afford to go public. And the reason they could afford to go public is that they had credibility. They were either very established in their careers or at their end of their careers.
One of those women was retired Rear Admiral Ronnie Froman.
I thought that there was safety in numbers. If anyone that had come out individually, there could have been major repercussions. Heck, there was repercussions with the group of us coming out of horrible things that were said about us.
The criticism from certain corners echoes past negative portrayals of women who accuse powerful men of bad behavior. Congresswoman Susan Davis says the disparagement is partly political.
We do tend to not believe often that someone who is doing a meritorious job in some areas could be having a problem.
Filner served in Congress for 2 decades before he was elected San Diego mayor last November, and the allegations from some of his accusers dated back several years. But once Filner became mayor, San Diegans clearly showed they had little tolerance for such misconduct.
Well, it is pretty remarkable.
Still, Donna Fry says the case does illustrate that even well-intentioned San Diegans can get it wrong. Almost immediately after Filner's accusers stepped forward, City Hall issued a directive barring women from working with him alone.
I thought it was very ironic that in order to protect women from Bob Filner and protect them from, possibly being harassed, that a policy would put in place that in order to protect women from being harassed, we will discriminate against them, which is also something that is not legal.
Froman says the crux of flawed edicts and harassment itself is that women are still treated as second-class citizens almost universally. She points to pay gaps and glass ceilings, and on the extreme end, she says San Diegans need look no further than El Cajon Boulevard, where young girls are sold for sex.
And we need to start treating our women as human beings, as people, and as equals.
Only honesty, dialogue, and accountability, she says, will bring change.
I think what so surprises me and so makes me angry is that people now think that, at least in San Diego, that since Filner's gone, it's no longer an issue. And it is an issue. It's an issue all across our country, all across the world.
Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
I'm Gwen Eiffel. On the next NewsHour, President Obama addresses world leaders at the United Nations General Assembly. That's Tuesday on the PBS NewsHour.
Police say a 12-year-old Florida girl killed herself after relentless cyberbullying by other girls. Her suicide has reignited a debate over school intervention. Peggy Pico explains how local schools are responding.
One school district in Los Angeles County is aggressively going after cyberbullies by hiring a security firm to monitor social media use among students. Here to tell us about what's being done here in San Diego County and how constitutional rights may impact the issue are law professor Ruth Hargrove and SD Unified School District's police chief Ruben Littlejohn. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You bet. Chief Littlejohn, what constitutes cyberbullying and how much of a problem is it here in San Diego schools?
Well, using any type of device that accesses the internet to intimidate, harass, or typically bully someone would constitute cyberbullying. But in particular, we're talking about incidents where maybe there's hate speech involved, name calling, someone's posting something about someone else using someone else's identity, or maybe someone has said, don't post that information, and they've posted it against that person's will.
And it can be pretty point blank. We know about the Florida girl who, the apparent suicide because they kept cyber texting her to kill herself. They told her to do it. So it can be that direct, correct?
It can be that direct. And so at San Diego Unified, what we're doing is we're educating our students about what they need to know to be aware and protect themselves from that.
Well, what types of social media, as you said, mobile devices, what types of social media are you talking about?
Yeah, so it could be mobile devices, it could be desktop computers, laptops, etc., anything that has internet access. But we're talking about those kinds of social networking sites like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Vine, etc. The list goes on, and whatever is trending at that time.
Okay. And Professor Hargrove, what does the data show about as far as other students intervening? Let's say there's a group of students basically bullying and harassing somebody online. Do other students intervene typically?
I don't think it is typical, frankly, and Chief Littlejohn can speak to this too, but I think that the peer pressure is such that, you know, nobody really wants to put himself in the line of fire, him or herself in the line of fire when somebody else is so clearly the target. It would be very nice if as a culture we did a better job at encouraging people to stand up for those who are weak, to stand up for those who are getting bullied, and if we could somehow make it part of our culture that it's a really good thing to stand up, even if you're the only one doing it. It's very hard to do for kids, very hard.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, Chief, is there a particular age group that's most at risk for this? Does it start earlier? What are you seeing in the schools?
So at San Diego Unified, we are working towards a culture of kindness, and what that's all about is telling everyone in the district that we are anti-bulliers. We don't believe in bullying. And so we have an anti-bullying week that's going on, and there's more education that's going on. And that begins with the 5th graders because at age 13, that's when they can get their own social network site.
Oh, okay. So start it a little ahead of time. But 5th grade is about 10, right?
Yeah,
age
well,
10.
13 is the age that they can get it. So we teach that from 6th grade to 10th grade.
Okay, okay. And Professor Hargrove, what is the First Amendment? How does that play into this? And students saying, I can write whatever I want. It's my free speech rights. Where does that fall in so far?
Well, they can, except under some circumstances. I mean, hate speech can be prosecuted. Parents can actually bring, can sue. Very few people have the resources to do that. They can try to protect their kids against another kid by actually pursuing civil action against that kid. But the problem with the First Amendment in schools is that although we all want school districts to be able to solve whatever problems our kids have, it's actually very difficult for a school to do that because unless the speech actually reaches the campus and threatens or causes a substantial disruption on the campus, the school isn't going to have jurisdiction to regulate the speech. And that's tough to do.
So as you were saying, your education, are you teaching not only the students, the teachers, the parents? What's the actual sort of logistics of trying to get this message, then be kind?
Exactly. So we have a Safe Schools Advisory Group, and that involves all the stakeholders, parents, the community, teachers. We reach out to everyone to educate them on what the kids are learning in school so that we can hear from them and give them strategies and ways to monitor this kind of activity. We also want them to be a part of the solution. We want to listen to them about what their kids are doing and what their kids are hearing.
Do you know of any legislation in place? I'll ask both of you. That's coming up that's trying to address this issue particularly.
Yeah, there's actually legislation currently in the California Education Code that addresses cyberbullying and takes a very strong stance against it. But again, within that legislation and the text of the legislation itself, it's clear what its limits are. It tells the schools they don't have unlimited jurisdiction to reach out into the community and regulate student speech. There has to be an impact on the school environment.
All right. Well, there's a whole lot more on our website, kpbs.org. Professor Hargrove and Chief Littlejohn, thanks very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
2 San Diego schools are celebrating National Blue Ribbon Awards. The awards went to Ocean Air Elementary in Carmel Valley and Torrey Pines Elementary in La Jolla. Now, they are among 15 California schools that are getting the blue ribbon for top academic performance. We're going to see a couple of days of cooler temperatures around San Diego, but it's not going to last long. Clouds due to clear out along the coast by Friday. Inland temperatures should start heading back up into the 80s after a dip into the 70s on Wednesday and Thursday. A high wind warning will go into effect for the mountains tomorrow through Thursday mornings. Wind gusts could get up to 50 miles an hour, and the desert will also be under a high wind warning with temperatures there in the upper 90s tomorrow, then dropping into the 80s. You can find tonight's stories and download the KPBS app all on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have yourself a great evening.